Hi there. So, me and my girlfriend watched a movie called Barbarian, which was quite good. It's on HBO Max and Hulu if you have either of those streaming services, so if so, go watch the movie before you actually watch this video. But me and her were talking about it a lot, and we both thought it would be fun to turn our discussion into a video. So, what you're about to hear is that discussion. Thank you very much, and please enjoy. Okay, so we just finished the movie after watching it for a second time, because apparently the first time was not enough, and I have to say I enjoyed it more the second time than I did the first time, even though watching it the first time around was definitely a lot scarier.
I'm gonna hate AJ more the second time.
Well, of course you do, because you notice more because you're not perpetually scared.
The man in your dorm scared me.
Yeah, he did. He opened up a door to a stairwell, and you just got spooked.
Yeah.
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 Okay, anyways. So, I think we should go over a general plot summary first.
Alright.
Alright. We're going to do it. We're going to do the plot summary of the thing. Oh.
Airbnb.
Okay, so the...
I would not get an Airbnb in that type of neighborhood.
No, I would not either. Okay, so... We're going to run down the plot of the film. So, the general synopsis is, it starts off with a woman named Tess. Tess is in town, the town being Detroit, Michigan. Cue, haha, Detroit, Michigan, bad.
Brightmoor.
But specifically a neighborhood called Brightmoor, which if you Google search, has been burned out, exploded. Not fun. Bad things have apparently happened. There's only like 9,000 people living there, and there used to be like 50. So, it's, not good. Very, very bad.
Very bad.
Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Anyways, so
yeah, she goes there for the job interview.
Mm-hmm. What is happening up there?
I don't know.
If you can't hear it on the recording, there's a bunch of people above us just stomping around. And...
Anyway, so her and Keith, character Keith, double book the same Airbnb.
And Keith is the guy that's already at the Airbnb in a very crappy neighborhood, and she gets there in, like, the middle of the night.
Which, again, I would not go there in a neighborhood like that in the middle of the night by myself.
I wouldn't get an Airbnb in a neighborhood like that where all the houses have graffiti and they all look like they've been burned out.
That is true.
That just seems like a bad idea to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, plot. She goes to this Airbnb, she finds out it's double booked, there's someone already staying there, it's a guy named Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård, who is the clown in the most recent It films, which I have not seen, but I've heard they're very good.
You're a clown.
Honk, honk. I don't like clowns. Clowns scare me.
I know.
Yeah. Anyways, so they go inside, they check a bunch of the records and stuff, they find out that, hey, I guess they were double booked, and they start talking, there's a little bit of flirting going on, he helps make her bed, which is kind of funny, and everything's fine. And then she is asleep in the middle of the night, and she finds that her door is open a little bit.
And she thinks it's Keith because she can hear him up.
Yeah.
Well, not up, but
moving around a little bit and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And she goes over to see him, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, well, I hear you making weird noises, and in the
background you can see the basement door.
It's closing. And you don't see who's closing it, but the first time I watched it, I noticed it, and I was like, I see that! You can't get that past me! I've taken, 4 film classes. I was supposed to go to film school, at least I wanted to go to film school, and then I chose a different major in college, because I realized making movies probably would not be a reliable source of income for me. But hey, that's besides the point. And the day goes by, she does the job interview, and she mentions that she's staying in Brightmoor to the person that she's meeting with, and she basically has a response of, why are you staying there? That's really bad.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or was it the response that, she knew more what was going on, or was it just
everyone knows that there's something wrong with that neighborhood, and it's more than just the neighborhood itself.
Yeah. And she ends up going back to the house, and she's trying to find toilet paper of all things, because she's on the toilet and can't wipe. And as a,
IBS man.
Don't bring up my irritable bowel syndrome, man. I mean, I guess everybody else knows now, but it's fine.
You made a whole fucking video on how you got it.
Oh, right, I did! I forgot about that! Link in description.
Anyway, so she goes into the basement.
She finds the toilet paper.
But then the basement door fucking closes itself.
Then she can't get out.
Because it's like locked from the inside or something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot
and she forgot her phone on the table upstairs.
Highly convenient.
So she can't even call Keith. Like, well, I guess she can't call.
Well, she can't call Keith. She doesn't have a number.
Right, but she can't call anyone. Like.
Yeah. And what the fuck's she gonna do? Like smoke signals?
Help
me, SOS, spooky basement.
And then there's like this weird rope thing that she pulls and it opens another door.
Yeah.
And at first, when she sees that door open, she's like, I'm not going in there. And then...
You're talking about like the rope in the wall that opens up like the secret passageway?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when she sees that, she's like, I'm not going in there. And then she goes in there anyway.
Yeah, and then she finds,
a room with nothing but a mattress, a camera, and a bucket.
This is a bucket.
So Keith gets back, and he's like, dude, what the fuck? Why can't I open the door? And because Tess has the key
to open the door.
So she sees that Keith is back, so she's like banging on the window
Downstairs in like the freaking basement or something, right?
Yeah. So they unlock it, and she's explaining everything to Keith, and he's just like, "What are you talking about? Show me."
What do you mean? There's a secret like bad room dungeon in the basement. I don't know what's going on.
And it seems like from that scene alone, really, it makes it seem like Keith already knows about everything that's down there, and he just wants to lure Tess back into there.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, show me the room.
Because the way he's acting is someone who has like a secret murder bad dungeon in their basement, trying to trap them in there.
Yeah.
Which, spoiler alert, is not what the case is. That's not the case at all.
Yes.
So they both go downstairs, and Keith starts checking stuff out, and he conveniently stops talking after he gets downstairs.
Yeah, like Tess calls for him, and he answers like 1 or 2 times, and then stops.
Highly convenient.
So Tess doesn't hear Keith anymore. So she goes down there to check. And when she's down there, she can hear him very faintly asking for like her to save him or whatever. And she finds another basement type thing in the basement. And fucking scary shit, man.
Yeah. She goes down there, and then she finds, like, one of those old, like, tiny elevator doors, like the ones that you have to, like, they're, like, almost like a not like a xylophone, but like a weird interlocking thing. Like, it's like the metal doors that look like how, like, a Chinese finger trap is, like, interlocked and shit. I don't know how to describe this, but it's basically like a metal sliding door thing, but it's not a sliding door.
So she finds Keith in there, and the thing I don't understand is she's saying to Keith that they should leave, and he's trying to get her to go into the cave type thing.
Because there's, quote, something else down there.
Right, but like he's clearly scared of it, so why would he want to go back into there?
Well, he does say that it was back where she came, but clearly that's not true, because when the thing shows up, which, by the way, spoiler alert, because this is where we're going to blow the complete spoilers out of the water. This is not a story of creepy guy. This is a story of a big titty incest monster coming out of the basement and smashing your skull in. Yeah. Because that's what it is. Because this monster thing emerges from the darkness back from where he says it wasn't and literally kills him. Very good special effects, by the way. You hated it. You winced, and I just went, oh, nice, that's good gore effects. So yeah, now Keith is dead.
Yeah.
And it cuts to a completely different character.
Yeah, because after that, Tess is basically stuck down there for like 2-ish weeks.
It's not really stated how long she's down there. Like, it's kind of implied to be around 2 weeks, maybe a few days. We don't really know.
Yeah. And it cuts to the new character, AJ, driving.
In, like, California or something.
And he gets a call from, like, his management team or something. And his management team is letting him know that there are
unpleasant rumors about him, about potential things he may or may not have done to a particular person.
Which, those allegations itself is going to get him fired off the show he's on, or whatever.
and completely kill his career because of how damning they are.
Yeah, so he ends up talking to, like, his lawyer about it, and his lawyer is basically saying that he either has to sell his house or other properties. So
to basically pay for all the legal fees from the lawsuits that he's going to have to file and this and that, whatever.
So he ends up deciding to sell his Michigan properties, which requires him to go to
Michigan,
the house in Detroit. And when he's there, like, he can clearly see that there are other people's stuff there because it's an Airbnb. So he calls the person and is like, is there anyone staying in my fucking house right now? Because obviously Keith and Tess never checked out of the Airbnb. But he thinks that it's just squatters.
Squatters who have MacBooks somehow.
Yeah. And then he goes to a club and talks to his friend and basically admits that all the rumors are true.
Yeah, AJ is a bad man. He is not good. Big, bad, spooky, scary, bad man. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to jail.
And then he goes into the basement with a knife and a flashlight.
And this is the funniest part of the movie, because he's trying to sell to pay for his legal fees, right? So he sees this dungeon, and his immediate thought is, hey, can I put this on, like, realting sites to get more money? So he starts, like, measuring the shit, like, completely ignoring the fact that there's, like, a secret bad room with a video camera and a bloody mattress and a bucket.
Like, he sits on the mattress and he's just like, oh, that's gross.
Oh, that's gross. But all the while, he's like a tape measure, and he's like, oh, 9 feet here, like, it's square feet, it's square footage and shit. And then he finds the secret fucking wall to the depths of hell.
It doesn't face him, he's just like, I gotta measure this shit.
It does not bother him at all. Like, he does not give a shit. And he finds the stairs that go down even deeper, which, keep in mind, we only see a part of the complex area down there throughout the film. There are clearly other areas that are in this complex that we don't even see. It's going to be significantly bigger.
Yeah, and then when he's down there, like, trying to get the square footage, the tape measurer gets pulled from him, so someone is down there taking it from him.
He also finds a room with, like, a TV with, like, a breastfeeding video in it, and, like, nothing but, like, baby toys and, like, clothes and stuff, and, like, a bunk bed. And
then he finds Tess down there, so Tess is alive.
Well, he doesn't just find Tess, he gets chased by the monster into the fun pit.
Yes, and
that's not very fun.
And he's just like, what is this place? I don't want to be here. And Tess is like, do you think I want to be down here? Just like, and Tess is like, you can't get upset or she will get upset. And he's just like, who the fuck is she?
And then you see, like, hair drop through, like, the grate. There's, like, a metal grate covering the hole that they're in.
Right.
And it's so long to the point where it almost goes down to the ground. Like, it's how long it is.
And then there's a bottle. And Tess is telling AJ just to drink it.
It's breast milk. It's breast milk. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's breast milk.
Because she wants them to be her babies.
Because she can't have kids. Maybe she can't. I don't know. It's never really explained. She's kidnapping people to pretend that they're their children.
So AJ is refusing to drink what's in the bottle.
Reasonably so. Because I wouldn't drink that.
So the monster person, the mother, takes him into the room where there's the video of the woman breastfeeding and tries to breastfeed him.
And meanwhile, Tess is like, I'm out, and tries to escape. And then she fucks up by kicking the tape measure again. And then she gets out.
Well, she tries to leave to the door, which the door is, again, locked from the inside, so she can't get out that way. Which only exists to create tension, because in reality, all she does is she breaks through the window. If she hadn't gone up the stairs trying to open up the door, she would have been out of there perfectly fine. Oh, yeah, and the person that, like, pulls her out is this old man
who was yelling at her earlier in the movie. Which I think we forgot to mention that.
When Tess was coming back from her interview, this man basically runs at her, telling her not to go into the house. And when she goes into the house anyways, he's like, you need to come out of the house. Because he knows what's in the house. And it's the same man that drags her out of the house. And tells her that the monster's going to come out at night and look for her.
So she better get moving.
Which she does, but doesn't. Like, she finds the police and tries to get the police to help, but...
And the police don't do anything because they assume she's a crackhead because she looks like she's been kept in, like, a hole for 2 weeks, which she essentially has, literally.
Yeah. So they don't do anything, and so she eventually does get back into the house to get her car keys and try to leave, but the monster came out at night looking for her, just like the man said.
And she rams it into the fucking side of the house. She drives the car into the side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even break through the wall or anything, just the engine dies.
The engine dies.
And then the monster thing is so fucking strong that it's able to break the glass almost by like a couple punches, which doesn't make any sense because what you see, which is the scene that it's the sequence that cuts after AJ gets shoved inside of the bad hole with Tess and before the breastfeeding happens. You transition to a flashback scene where literally it's like perfect white picket fence, like Midwest America.
Yeah.
And you see this guy who is an
Frank?
actor whose name is Frank, who's an actor who plays basically every irredeemable bad guy. It's the same actor that played that one Imperial officer in The Mandalorian Season 2. Like, you know, the one that gets shot by Bill Burr's character? Which you haven't seen. You haven't watched The Mandalorian, but I have. But people who've seen that, this actor, he's in a lot of things. He's also in a couple Rob Zombie movies. He's very well known for being like a henchman evil guy. And he's going to the grocery store to get plastic sheets and diapers and...
It's basically supplies you would need for a new
baby.
And, when
he's leaving the grocery store...
He just...
Spots a woman randomly.
Spots a woman and basically follows her home?
Pretends to be a person in coveralls named Carlos... who basically is supposed to be with, like, the energy company or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
so
he goes into her house, pretending to be the energy guy.
And unlocks her window.
And
leaves.
And then when he gets back into the house...
It's messy as shit.
It's messy. And then you can already hear someone screaming from the basement, so he's already kidnapped someone.
So, what you can imply based on all of this is that the woman that's down there is, quote, a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and bad things have happened.
Yeah.
And the video camera is used for bad things.
Yeah.
That I can't mention on YouTube. I mean, I feel like that he could have been expanded on a little bit more, but I also like that he wasn't, because it could have been kept, like, you know what he did, and it's all the more horrifying what he did being left to the imagination.
Yeah. And then... Well, I mean, and even his, like, at the time, his neighbor was telling him that they plan on moving, which could be implied that they're moving because the wife doesn't feel safe in a neighborhood where women are going missing.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also the dude from the water tower tells Tess that the monster is not the worst thing in the house, which...
I initially... Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, you can go.
Which I initially thought was like, is there an even bigger, meaner, badder super monster? But no, it's just the old guy lying in a bed.
It's just Frank. The worst thing in the house is Frank. So everyone knows that Frank is in the house. But no one does anything about it.
Because in order to get to him, you have to get through his weird... granddaughter thing. Yeah. And... AJ is still down there somehow. Well, not somehow. He's still down there because Tess hadn't gotten to get him yet.
Then, see, when AJ... Okay, so the monster woman is chasing AJ, but once he gets closer to the room Frank is in, that is the only time the monster...
Shows fear
because she knows Frank is in that room and she's terrified of Frank, so she backs away.
Yeah.
And then... He finds Frank. AJ finds Frank in the room, and I think he originally thinks that Frank is just another victim of the monster.
And he's not. No.
He's not. Once AJ finds
his movie collection,
AJ kind of figures out what they are, and is calling Frank
a fuck,
and is like saying that the police are gonna find him soon, which Frank is...
You can see in the actor's eyes, like, oh shit,
Because he doesn't want to get caught.
Because all the evidence is literally right there on his wall.
So Frank takes the easy way out.
And he dies in Minecraft. And, he has a gun. But the thing is about it is that AJ watches this collection of VHS tapes.
He watches one.
He watches one, which was when something like Redhead from the gas station or something.
Yeah.
But there's one tape in particular, because most of them are just names, but as you notice that the ones that are on the top shelf are all names. And as you see him getting more and more depraved, you start to see just labels like blind and stuff. And the one that's the most disturbing to me is Wouldn't Stop Crying.
Yeah.
Because that just... Hey... Not good. And Frank
takes the easy way out.
Goes bye-bye, and now AJ has a gun.
AJ has a gun.
And then he ends up moving his way out of the thing, and by this point Tess is already trying to go back into the catacombs to get him, and then she gets shot by him because he doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, so the monster sees Tess in danger and tries to
save her,
but obviously Tess doesn't want her to save her, so they go to the water tower because the man, Tess knows the man is there,
and they end up, and this character only exists to state what someone who was paying attention would have been able to figure out on their own, because I figured all this out on my own. Because it just kind of processes an elimination, but to the people who wouldn't...
The man is like, that monster, I've been living here for 15 years and she's never come here. She
busts through the wall like the fucking Kool-Aid Man and rips his arm off and beats him to death with his own fucking arm.
The thing is, he knew...
How is that even possible? To quote Red vs. Blue, brownie points if you understand that reference.
The thing is, the man knew that the monster was going to come out looking for Tess.
Because he said it earlier.
So why would... he bring her to a place where he's living.
So yeah, Mr. Homeless Man is dead, and they start to climb the water tower. And AJ before then was like, I've hurt her and I need to repent, and then he drops the fucking gun like Butterfingers. Like his hands start shaking like he's fucking tweaking or something. Because before then he does the same thing with the fucking flashlight that he has and the dumbass knife. And he drops the fucking gun off the fucking water tower.
When he's on the water tower, he says that he can get out, but Tess has to slow the monster down.
So he throws her off the fucking water tower and the monster jumps down.
I get that AJ is scared for his life, but if he was a good person, he would want to slow the monster down and try to save Tess after he shot her.
But no, he just proceeds to shoot her and then throw her off a fucking building. Which, by the way, she survives all of this. Like, she lives.
Yes, because the monster...
doesn't want to hurt her.
Basically catches her, breaks
with her corpse. Kind of.
But, so AJ goes back down there to check.
And then AJ gets his fucking eyes gouged out.
The thing
and his skull ripped in half.
AJ does not care if Tess survived because he wanted to... He cared about his survival. He just wanted the monster to slow down so he had more time to get away from her. So he didn't care if Tess actually lived.
He even starts saying stuff like, oh, he just started slipping. And
he basically gaslights Tess into thinking that she slipped and he
ends up suffering the consequences of his behavior at the hands of a underground nightmare woman, who is in reality the real victim here.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of like a Frankenstein's monster
because
situation.
The thing is, the monster woman, the mother person, her only exposure to human interaction is that one video on repeat of the woman breastfeeding the baby and Frank.
And that is not good socialization strategy. Oh my god.
You also have to realize that her only exposure to men is Frank.
Yeah.
Which is a violent man.
Was done nothing but do very bad things to her.
Yeah.
Also, the woman that he ends up kidnapping, that's implied that he kidnapped, her dress is in his room. We forgot to mention that.
Yes. It's not in the room with the bed and the camera. It's in
Frank. It's in his room.
So he clearly has done stuff to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't touch that.
Oh, also, at the beginning of the movie, when Tess is leaving for her interview, across the street, and there's a house with graffiti on it, and it literally says "Death from Below."
The attention to detail in this film is really quite good. It was only done on a budget of like $4 to $5 million. It made like $50 million. Like, it made a pretty good return on investment. It's a very good low budget horror film. It's one of the better ones from the last couple years, honestly. I mean, I think the last Evil Dead film was better, but it's pretty good, I would say. Especially considering the fact that the director, at first, according to the Wikipedia page anyway, just wanted to make like a standard, oh, well, I'm just going to take all the red flags that a woman or a person would traditionally ignore and make that into a movie. But then he just realized it was going to be kind of cliche, so he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to start throwing twists and seeing what I like, and he settled on incest monster. So, I guess... I don't know, I guess that's the direction to take a movie, but hey, it works here. Because the first 45 minutes of the film are easily the scariest part, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they did use misdirect casting with
Oh, yeah,
Keith,
absolutely.
because when you see Skarsgård...
You expect him to be the bad guy, but he's not.
And they do play on that a lot, especially with the wine scene, where he is offering Tess wine, and he's very creepy about it. He's like, I waited till you got... I waited for you to open the wine.
You know, they didn't want you to think that I was being weird or anything, blah, 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 and I'm just like, okay.
Like, I don't know. I mean, the first half of the film does the psychological horror very well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the scariest part of the movie. Mm-hmm. Especially when she first discovers the tunnels, because you don't know what's going to happen. Because you don't know if it's Keith, or if it's something else. I mean...
Yeah, like, because the first time we watched it, we would pause and just try to figure out what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And why certain details were there, like the bed.
Like, I was freaked out, and I don't get freaked out by horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, this... And you were absolutely terrified.
I was.
I feel like what this film does really, really well is really ground the horror, because supernatural horror in certain areas is really, really effective, but when it goes over the top, I mean, I don't find Nightmare on Elm Street all that scary. Like, Halloween can be scary, but, I mean, the issue with, like, supernatural horror films is that a lot of them tend to explain themselves too well. I mean, the original Paranormal Activity is terrifying because of the fact that it is low budget, it does not explain a lot, and it is very much so psychological horror, whereas, say, Nightmare on Elm Street is basically just having, like, the Joker as a horror movie villain, and considering the fact that while Freddy and the Joker are really, really bad people, they're funny, so, I mean, like, morbid, dark funny, but still funny, and that makes it less scary to me. But this film completely circumvents that by making it very, very grounded and very, very serious. Of course, it has moments of lightheartedness, which really make the moment afterwards, where the horror really starts to kick back in after the goofy parts where AJ's trying to, like, measure shit, really much more effective.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the monster isn't even the real bad guy, it's Frank. Because the monster, at the end of the day, just wants a baby. Granted, she's going about it in a fucked up way.
But she doesn't know anything else.
But also, she can't have a baby with Frank because he's...
Old.
He's in a vegetated state.
And old. And bad. And bad person. And just not good.
Yeah, so... But also, it is possible that the woman had a miscarriage, or her child is just...
Not there anymore.
Because of Frank.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she just wants a child. That's all she really wants. And at the end of the movie, she really doesn't have anyone or anything except for Tess. Because she was, like, trying to get Tess to go back to the house, and Tess is like, I can't, basically. And Tess took that as an opportunity to shoot the monster in the head.
Which is really quite sad, because you actually really feel for the monster in that sequence for the first time throughout the entire movie. Because now that you have all this information, you see it, and you see that that isn't anger in the eyes, because the only time she ever shows anger or anything is towards men.
Because her only exposure to men is Frank. So she doesn't...
It also doesn't help that Keith kind of looks like Frank when he was younger, because they both had blonde hair and everything like that.
That is true.
Is that something I just kind of thought about now? Have you thought about that?
No.
Huh. Neat. Pow. She just fist bumped me for that.
Anyways. I think the ending the ending had the potential to be better than what it was.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how I would do that because I'm not a filmmaker. But, I mean, given the fact that it kind of ties up all the loose ends, I feel like the ending makes sense. But, I don't know. I mean, it could have been better, but it also could have been worse, and it doesn't really bother me either way.
But like also, it's ironic how AJ of all the characters was the one to find Frank in the tapes, considering how him and Frank kind of have similar footing in a way with what Frank does and what AJ's being accused of.
Except that AJ actually seems to either regret his actions or feel shame for what he did.
Because he's disgusted seeing how far it can go. Like how addicted Frank is to what he does.
Yeah, because Frank is just evil.
Yes.
Just full on. Like, he's just completely consumed by hedonism and urges, and he just does not care.
And, like, seeing it happen, like, on the tape, AJ was just like, he's basically like, this is wrong. And then he calls Frank out on it and is like, I'm going to the police with this information.
And then Frank's like, lullaby!
But, like, also, where are the previous victims? Because Keith, Tess, and AJ, they didn't find any of the previous victims, but it is heavily implied that there were previous people in the basement. Also, where's Keith?
I can imagine that it's probably in the area we didn't see. Either that or, snack.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you have to... I mean, you don't live without eating a little bit, so maybe... I don't know. I doubt it, though. It does sort of seem like that was the angle they were going down. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there is one thing that confused me.
What?
About the movie, and that is... Why did it seem like that everyone knew what was going on, but no one said anything? Because even the cops, the way they drove away and how they accelerated fast, means either they wanted to get out of Dodge or they knew something was there. And if this thing is so darn scary and so darn bad, and there's stuff down there, and they know it's down there, I mean, why haven't they done anything?
Right, because that is...
I mean, I know we wouldn't have a movie, but, like...
That house is the only livable house left on that street, and everyone knows about it. Like, even the woman that interviewed Tess knows about it. The water tower guy knows about it. The cops don't even go in that area, so they know about it.
Or at least something is wrong.
And the water tower guy knows that Frank is still in the house, so they know that Frank is still alive. And he knows about what Frank did.
But I'm wondering how he knew. Because it might have been like an old wives' tale. I mean, he said that the woman's been down there for about 40 years.
Right, but he also physically saw her, so he knows that it's real.
Yeah, but most people would probably stay away, because if you're a child, say, hearing, oh, there's a spooky woman coming out of the basement to come get you, you'd probably steer clear too. I would.
Well, yeah. But, like, he's also been living there for 15 years, so he has been in the area, and he even warned Tess about it. So.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's, yeah. Man, that makes sense. Now that I think about it, yeah.
So everyone knows about at least Frank. And the cops haven't arrested him. Granted, I get that they probably
think he died, or like the house was abandoned.
Well, yeah, because it has like a new owner, which is AJ.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. He should have been arrested. If everyone knows about it, the cops should have at least checked the house.
Yeah, but then you need to get a warrant and stuff like that, and. I mean, there is enough probable cause to get there, but red tape and all that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you had to score the film out of 10, what would you rate it?
Like a 7 or an 8?
I'm gonna give it like a 7.5. It's pretty good. It's certainly not the best horror film, but it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad at all, and I really quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. I don't really like scary movies, but that one was pretty good.
Wow, that's a ringing recommendation right there from you.
Thanks.
Good job. We'll be watching more of these.
Okay.
All right. Thanks to my girlfriend
You're welcome.
for helping me with this, because this was fun. I enjoyed doing this.
You're welcome, Samuel.
Thanks, honey. All right, love you.
Love you.
One last thing. Do you like Warhammer? Do you like miniature painting? Do you like good painting tutorials? Then go over to my friend MishMash's YouTube and Instagram, both of which are linked in the description. Give him a follow and give him a sub. He does good work. He's just starting out, and honestly, he's a really great guy. So give him all the support in the world. He definitely deserves it. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you all very much for watching, and have a great night.